Hello, everybody. My name is Aldous Mina. I'm going to be sharing a video that I made in front of the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in Washington, D.C. My former employer, who I have been subjected to all sorts of civil rights, um, human rights, as well as workplace discrimination and institutional racism treatment. I decided to make this video for uh, three reasons. One is so that these kinds of events doesn't continue to, plague our workforce in the U.S., not just in the federal government system, but also within the private sector, um, and also to help those that are being marginalized to speak up and voice their overall treatment so that these kinds of events and treatments doesn't persist and continue to um, you know uh, financially, mentally, emotionally, and physically um, take toll on our health and our financial condition, as well as our overall um, you know contribution to the workforce. And the third is to basically raise awareness regarding um, treatment that the marginalized community in America are having to deal with on a regular basis. And I'm not even trying to overly amplify this kind of events and treatment. I know from my own experience, as well as from other people's experience within the marginalized community of America, that it's prevalent, and for the most part, it's not being controlled or managed properly by decision makers and those that are in authority, a position of authority in the country. I want you to reflect on this video as a learning um, platform more than a judgmental platform or any form of, uh, you know, negative, um, you know, interpretation regarding my campaign. My decision to go public with my case is specifically to help uh, reduce this kinds of treatment in the workforce and help the marginalized population in our country to gain voice and amplify their voices due to the fact that they are powerless, voiceless, and for the most part ignored when things like this happen. My case was, you know, a, a, a case that I had never thought would happen to me as a former U.S. Peace Corps volunteer who had served my country, and someone that have always been involved in community service. I never thought that I would experience it, but here I am today. I'm telling you that throughout the duration of my employment at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, I was subjected to institutional racism, discrimination, workplace discrimination, my civil rights violated, as well as human rights ignored. So if people in authority and in power in our country are openly and willingly, uh, you know, uh, not interjecting and looking the other way, these kinds of cases and treatment will persist, and it has been persisting. Um, Asian hate is real in America, and hate towards the marginalized population in America is real, and many people have experienced it. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and run the video and basically um, pause it so that y'all can hear some of my thoughts why I decided to make my case public and share this video with Americans. Currently here in front of one of the most racist employers in the federal government.
the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So I was basically discriminated against and racially harassed, and they basically did not do anything after I reported, um, my treatment to their EEOC office. But thought basically the world.
So I was struggling in making this video. So y'all can see I tried to keep composure, being in front and near that building brought back memories of racial attacks, discriminatory practices, my civil rights violated, and human rights ignored by the staff within the department that I was working in. Okay. Feels as if I'm reliving those times once again by me just being around that building and being near to those decision makers that works within that building.
I was blamed for being racially and discriminated against.
So basically, I got a letter from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, kind of, chastising for not following their timeline, not following their bureaucratic procedures, in spite of the fact that I, explained to them that the material that they were going to be sending to me needs to be sent to me via email, not by snail mail, because I was not in the country and it would have been possible for me to review and provide the materials and information that they're requesting within that paper form that they sent to my parents' address. Okay, folks. So I was overseas. I wouldn't have been able to review the materials while I was abroad. And I specifically instructed the lady that was going to be sending me those application form to process my discrimination case to email me the materials. She never did that. And then I was basically chastised and blamed for not, meeting the timeline that they've imposed on me, regardless of the fact that I was overseas. So I told him I was being ganged up. I mean, everybody were pretty much going against me. It's like 1 against 75 people. They have an army of lawyers. They have an army of people working to basically demerit my case. They simply do not want to entertain my case. So on top of the people that discriminated against me and attacked me racially and violated my human rights and civil rights. Okay, folks. So I was the only one, okay, going against this organization, the Department of Housing and Urban Development. You can see the size of that building. Okay. I wasn't working in this building. I was working at one of the branch offices, but the size and the magnitude of that staff, their legal staff, and everybody else that works for this department, it's a federal government organization. So I'm just by myself, who had been discriminated against and attacked, racial attack, and civil rights violated, and human rights violated. Okay, folks. So imagine me going against them.
They basically put the blame on me after I made complaint through the EEOC and a branch of the federal government. So I went first to HUD's EEOC, and then I also made a request to investigate my case from the EEOC federal agency. Anyway, I thought I'd employer in the federal government system.
So this department, this branch of government, okay, adamantly and strategically tried to sweep my case under the rug. Okay, they colluded with their EEOC department, which is Equal Employment Opportunity Department within their office, as well as the federal government branch, which is the EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. They all basically work together, putting the blame on me. So instead of looking at the case of discrimination, they were looking at the case of bureaucracy. They shifted, the case and put the blame on me. Okay, and this is just the verbiage that they've used within the materials that they sent me. Everything was spun around to put the blame on me. Okay, and they're pretty good with their wording. They definitely try to influence hearts and minds of whoever reads it, because they made it seem as if that I wasn't following instructions that they had imposed on me, which wasn't the case. They've even said that on one of the letters that it took 4 years before I filed an appeal, which was not the case at all. I have been making appeal after appeal via email, via phone calls, and eventually by the letter, and I didn't get very far from it. I mean, very far, with it. So, yeah, it's just it's a never-ending struggle. Imagine going against a federal government organization the size of HUD and having to go against their army of lawyers, tons of lawyers representing this organization. I didn't even have one to represent my interests. Okay, folks. Until to this day, I'm still fighting because I know I'm not the only one that's been victimized, okay, by racist, discriminatory practices within the government system as well as in the private sector. Let me go ahead and let you finish off listening to this video. So, kind of coming in and out, trying to review the case. I posted my case on our blog, placeeconomics.wordpress.com. Abuse of power, brave heart, the giant within. You can read everything pertaining to our case. I had to basically upload other material and content on our blog so that it will give you some sort of a reference pertaining to some of the claims that HUD legal department had basically tried to, influence people and make a case on. They claimed that I didn't, put an appeal in on time, which is not the case at all. I sent this letter to Mr. McClemore at HUD EOC, and it specifically stated there some of the issues that came about while I was an employee at HUD for a year. So it started the very first day I walked into that office. They started basically marginalizing me, not even thinking of me as a professional who's been educated, and somebody that had been, serving, in the U.S. Peace Corps, making less than minimum wage, serving my country faithfully and honorably. They basically, neglected to see any of my contribution to America, to my country, to the community that I belong in, as well as those people that I had tried to endorse to inform HUD that I have been, appealing my case, and I've provided the same material with EEOC, with HUD's EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity organization within HUD, and the actual commission within the federal government. I've even requested assistance from the White House with the Obama-Biden administration. They said that they're going to provide assistance. Never got very far from from what that I needed assistance with. I thought that they were actually going to try to, support me. Nothing happened. And then I kept on, resistance. No one's giving me any form of assistance or hand or any form of, you know, support. I mean, imagine one person going against an army of lawyers and a bunch of bureaucrats and a bunch of people that simply want to, you know, destroy me, mow me down, and for I don't know for what reason, other than they don't like my race, my you know um, ethnicity. They didn't have any reason to treat me the way that they treated me, yet they did. So um, yeah, and they even had a beer summit for a gentleman that was mistreated, an African American gentleman that was mistreated by the police, by a police officer up in Massachusetts, and the Obama and Biden administration even, brought them brought them to the White House and had a beer summit for them. But when someone like me, someone's marginalized, requests assistance from the White House, nothing happens. Nothing of substantial. Me, I mean, I was making, all sorts of requests for assistance, and nothing was provided. Um, so I'm requesting for assistance, and nothing was provided. And you can find all these materials, most of it on our Space Economics WordPress um, blog. It's got some of the appeals also that I've pursued and didn't get very far with them. I mean, till to this day, I've been hired as administration, and they sent me this letter, but nothing's been done. I requested assistance in 2021. They didn't respond until 2022, and now they're almost done with their mandate. It's December 2024 already, and still to this day, no aid, no relief, and no justice has been provided to someone like me. Okay, and that just hopefully, you know, give you an idea that a marginalized person in America is pretty much ignored by America, by Americans, and by our government. Um, and it's a pre-existing condition. It's always been the case. Just so that today, because of technology, because obviously of modern technology and social media, there is a way for us to share our story with the public. I don't know if the public actually will be able to get access to this video, but I'm attempting to, basically endorse it just in case it gets through to somebody. Uh, but imagine living in a country where you're marginalized to the point that one of the most powerful countries, most powerful government system is marginalizing someone that's voiceless, powerless, and underrepresented, or not even represented in America. Imagine this, the gravity of that kind of pressure that someone who's been marginalized in America would have to deal with. And that's why, I decided to go public with my case. And as y'all know, just yesterday, Mr. Biden actually um, pardoned his son, Hunter Biden, okay, for a crime that he was basically found guilty, you know, of, and is supposed to be going to sentencing on the 12th of December. The president, Biden, basically pardoned his son, but someone that is more marginalized and someone that they actually acknowledge a case of, um, they couldn't care less. I mean, I'm irrelevant to them apparently. No aid, no justice, no relief has been provided to me, even though they said that they will be sharing my case with the proper authorities. Nothing happened. On top of that, I've been getting, people from all sorts of student aid servicers sending me all this correspondence that is really inconsistent with the Biden-Harris administration, where they said that they were going to be providing relief aid and support to those that are struggling with, the burden of financial aid. Not even those were honored by the Harris or by the Biden-Harris administration. Okay, folks, and I've just pretty much been fighting a case for many years now, over a decade long, so that things like this doesn't continue to happen. I know that most of us that are marginalized in America will have to deal with this for the rest of our lives, but I'm hoping that those people that actually are ethical, those that are compassionate, those people that actually believe in the rule of law, uh, would justify me in my case, uh, you know, by making sure that this kind of, incidents and cases doesn't continue to happen. Um, you know, y'all can decide whether I'm, being transparent and truthful with you, or you can decide to side with the bureaucratic federal government army of legal representative of HUD. Okay, you guys all make the decision. Obviously, I didn't just wake up one day and decide to go against one of the most powerful government on the planet, and one of the most legally overabundantly represented um, arm of the federal government. So with this said, thank you so much for your time. Let me know if you have any questions, thoughts, suggestions. At the bottom section, I know I've been getting several hate, posts. There's some people attacking me on some of them on my posts by going public with my case. I've been pretty much uh, not only attacked, but on the post, but people made sure that um, I continuously have to deal with hardship. There's people that have seen my materials, and they, figured the best way to make me to stop is to make things even worse. So they, till to this day, I'm dealing with people that want to make life a living hell for me and my existence miserable. I know by going public, I know that there's going to be people that are evil like that, but at least I feel as if I were to go public with my case, that this would also, you know, um, help those that are voiceless, powerless, and marginalized uh, to come forward, or at least whoever it is that will be abusing their power will think twice before they do something, like what happened to me to other people. I just said, thank you so much. My name is Al Mina. I appreciate your time. Take care. Bye bye.